So, hi guys, welcome to another brand new episode of the Sleep Podcast. Today we have Manohar sir with us. Hi sir. Yes, he's a
Hello,
sleep
good evening.
expert, we can say. So, I would like himself to introduce himself. I'll just give him 2 minutes to introduce himself. Yes, sir, please.
Okay. Hi Nitin and hi Robin and all the viewers. So, my name is Manohar and I'm from Hyderabad. So, I'm working in the software industry since the last 17 and a half years. So, yeah. So, actually, back in 2019 was when I was actually struggling with sleep, and just like any other person, like I was thinking like I should be continuously living on sleeping pills for the rest of my life, and I was very anxious. But then I was able to get out of this problem, and then also I'm helping others to who are struggling with this issue to get out of this problem.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, I think this came from like your professional, the issue that you faced from your profession, you having screen time, your eyes are getting really stressed, and then you're not getting enough sleep because of the stress. I think that is what caused this kind of jump from career, I think, right? You are a lead software engineer is the last thing that I read about you.
Yeah, I'm a senior software lead. It is, yeah, definitely profession was one thing, but it's not only profession, even, but it was also some personal issues that were going in my life, and a mix of both of them is what I would say. It's
I see, I see. You have also authored a book in my knowledge, right? My Sleepless Nights.
yeah,
Yes, please tell me
yes, my
about
book
it.
is
What is the inspiration?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so my Sleepless Nights, my book is about my journey of how I struggled with sleep. Uh, so how I, how the sleep struggles really started, and how the sleep struggles intensified, and how I was able to, from a point of nowhere, how I was able to get out of this. So, like we were mentioning to the early question, so it's I would say a mini autobiography of mine, where I would struggle with sleep issues and how I got out of it is what I would say.
I see, I see. So, like, I also heard that you take like this around 4 week long sessions for IT professionals to help them improve their sleep, right? Tell me how that goes.
Yeah, Nitin, like what you said, I do help IT professional who are struggling with sleep, and just like me, who what I would say is back in 2019, I was really clueless. Like, what should I be doing? So, should I be approaching a doctor, or say like, for example, once you open the internet, there are so many things, like you can just get drowned in the ocean, and you can feel actually more than the solutions, a number of solutions, you always feel overwhelmed,
Very
right?
true.
So just to learn the correct advice from that is what I help people do it. And basically the one of the thing is, what I've observed, at least in my case, or people who I help with, is like they somehow either fear sleep or they have the wrong belief about sleep. So because
Mhm.
of that is what I've noticed that this is the challenge, and I help them. I would say uncover the wrong beliefs and help them create the small habits such that they can able to sleep much better.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Like, regarding this belief thing, right? Can you tell me like what are the most common like wrong beliefs that people in India have been saying to you in regarding the sleep?
So yeah, so one of the most common belief is like you need to cut down on sleep to be really successful. It's like
Yeah.
only when you work really hard without sleeping.
Mhm.
So like actually, if you are sleeping more, right, they think that you're wasting your time, but actually that's not true. So we need to also give our body the rest, and of course the mind and the body, everything. Sleep was, if sleep was not a biological necessity, it wouldn't have been there in its first place, right? So that is the number one biggest myth, which is like you need to cut down on sleep to be successful.
Mhm. Very true, very true. especially like nowadays this hustle culture, people call this hustle culture. You have to like work till you literally pass out, there's no partying, there's no fun enjoyment, just focus, be single focused on one particular thing that you're trying to be successful at, and then push yourself to the limits. But eventually what are you trying to gain, right? You're going to lose your health, you're going to use your mental peace, and then that particular thing that you're trying to focus in, you're not going to progress in that. You want to regress in fact, in terms of that.
Correct. Correct. I would just add one thing to whatever you said.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I do agree with the hustle culture and the focus part. But what happens is, at least in this time, focus is a very difficult thing to have because you get
Mhm.
distracted by so many other things. Like, for example, like 20 years before, the number of distractions were very less. Now you can literally get distracted for so many other things. Like, so that is one of the biggest thing. And yeah, because of that, you can't put your focus and you can't be single pointed. Is what I would say.
Exactly, exactly. Nowadays, like 50-second reels, everyone is just so much, having attention deficit, right? Because like they're seeing reels every minute, they're seeing at least 10 to 20 reels, I'm thinking. Like this is
Yeah.
swipe through it, endless scrolling. It's called doom scrolling right now nowadays. People are just
Yeah.
behind that. They might be going to bed by
Correct.
10, but once start using their phone, they go up till late nights, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and then now, they're off their sleep cycle, they're off their circadian rhythm, things like that.
Correct.
Exactly. Yeah. So, in your experience in like helping with IT professionals, right? Like, how has this entire journey been? Like, how has this been, and how productive could you make them been from like before your session and after your session? What are the major changes that they could benefit from?
One of the major benefit, Nitin, I would say is
Yeah.
like you said, when it goes in that 10 to 12 or 1, right?
Yeah.
So it is like they are able to set boundaries to say like, okay, it's not that I'm not saying don't enjoy, don't at all see kind of a thing, but
Yeah.
what's really happening is they're able to set boundaries to say like, okay, this is the time I'm going to do, and I'm going to give my mind the time to relax, process whatever is there in the day, and then go to sleep. And that is what is happening and helping them to sleep much better. So exactly, I wouldn't say an IT professional, but my recent client, one of the person whom I worked with, was struggling with acidity issues, right? Because he was not sleeping well, he was not able to digest food. But
Mhm.
what happened after working with me is, like he told, like he has completely stopped taking any kind of acidity tablet. So
Oh,
because now he's able to digest food much better, and he's able to feel much better because of a good night's sleep.
awesome. Wow. I think that's the first time I heard something like that kind of an incident or a case like that, where acidity has been solved by having a good night's sleep. I think that people really overlook the benefits of having a good night's sleep, in my opinion, because like in my experience, like I am a really sport loving person. I go to the gym every day almost, and if I don't get enough sleep, I am not doing the same intensity of workouts. I'm not getting the same productivity out of my day. And in every way, I would say it's like eating, drinking, whatever it is, like working out, everything. I think sleep has a direct correlation and impact on, exactly as you said, in digestion too. Definitely, I think it is
Correct.
there.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely agree.
Yes. So you chose this 45-day program, right? Is there any specific scientific or psychological reason that you chose 45 days? Like,
Okay, so nothing as such very scientific, but generally what they say is it takes 21 days to create a habit.
yeah.
So I just did it at 2x, which is like 42. So instead of doing a 42, I just rounded it off to 45. So that's the only reason why I have to pick that.
Nice. That's very simple, but I think it's very effective too, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, in terms of this entire session, right? After that, right? After your session is done, like, do you follow up with your clients, or do you have any separate kind of schedule that you give them there so that they can follow this entire thing continuously after the session? Like, do they follow up and go throughout the entire thing again? Do they get the same sleep after your sessions?
Okay. So to answer your question, do I follow up? Yeah, I do a follow up once. So it's not like I do follow up. So I make them accountable by asking them to tell like what routines they're following. So creating those simple rituals and giving me the update that they are doing it. So that's how I do it. Yeah, and I know life takes, so it's not that life is always going to be straight line, linear kind of a thing. So we need to also understand that life will have throw its own set of challenges. That is where you need to understand what you committed for, and if you're not able to commit, do whatever you want, so you can of course recommit, and that's how I do it. So to the second part of your question, you asked like if they are able starting and there will they be always be able to have a good night's sleep. No, it's not always going to be, because like I said, right, life will always throw new challenges. So it's not that today you have challenge A, so tomorrow you may have a bigger challenge itself or a smaller challenge, right? So but then what you are doing by working with me is you are preparing yourself to go to sleep. So it's like we prepare for everything, right? So to go to office, we prepare for the podcast which we are having right now. We prepare the questions and all, right? But only for sleep, right? We don't prepare, right? So that
Exactly.
is that, like you rightly said, we start the phone and then we don't even put off the phone, unless and until we are tired of watching, right? So we start getting prepared. So once we start getting prepared, the chances that you will sleep will increase a lot. That's what I would say.
Awesome, awesome. So, like, since you have started this program, like, what is the most surprising or like the most, yeah, surprising client, or in a way, like something that took you by surprise that came from the client in terms of like why they're not getting sleep? I'm pretty sure like you might have prepared everything in your mind, like, as you're starting a course, but then there might be clients that come out with very strange cases, and then you're like, oh my God, it's first time I'm hearing this. Like, I'm pretty sure something like
Yeah.
that was there.
So I would say like one of my client who really started off, like he was basically jobless, and he was actually uh, like he was not very doing very well off, I would say. But then he started working with me, and then what happened was he updated me like after 1.5 month of working with me, he told that he was nominated as the employee of the month for the month of November. So
Oh,
that is how once he was able to fix his sleep, he was able to concentrate. I mean, not only he got a job, but he also was the employee of the month for
high
the month of
performance.
November.
Awesome. Wow, that's awesome. Well, really good to hear, sir. Okay, so like in terms of IT professionals, right? I think yeah, that is the main focus that we are given in your bio too. So, what are the most common factors or common habits I would say that you see in these IT professionals that is actually ruining their sleep health?
Uh, the biggest one is like we mentioned earlier itself. That is like you need to really work hard and compromise on sleep to
Hmm.
really be successful in life. So that is the biggest one, is what I would say. And then the second one is about not getting being prepared for sleep. So once you start preparing for sleep, right, that is when you will start. Slowly giving your mind the relaxation. So these are the two big things, is what I would say.
I see. Definitely, I agree too, sir. I agree too. In terms of like screen stress, right? How much does that affect a person's sleep? How much does screen stress in terms of IT professionals, since they are sitting in front of a computer screen almost the entire day, how much does that affect their sleep?
Uh, okay. To answer your question, Nitin, I would say like mostly indirectly, it's not only that IT professionals have the screen time. So, if, for example, people who uh, are retired, for example, my parents, right? So they are also in front of the mobiles, like you said, right? Mobiles are really addictive, so they are also in front of the mobiles for a lot of time. So as a generation altogether, we are consuming a lot when it comes to mobiles. Yeah, the challenge with IT professionals is because mostly if you are into manufacturing, right, you have some work related to your machines and all that stuff. But whereas in case of an IT professional, all the work is related to the laptop or with the mobile, right? So there is no way of escaping the screen. So the length of time that you spend increases a lot. So that is where, uh, because you spend a lot of time with that, unwinding becomes a bit difficult, is what I would say.
Hmm. I see. Unwinding. That's very interesting, right? Okay, so in your course, right, how do you actually track sleep? Do you ask them to wear any wearables like a smartwatch? Do you make them use any app? How do you actually track the sleep of your clients?
Okay, so I don't ask them to wear any tracking devices, Nitin, as such. So
Mhm.
it is like, the basic thing is your body itself knows whether it got the right sleep or not, right? It's not like some device needs to confirm that it is that your sleep is good, right? And plus, because I'm in the IT industry, I know one thing is like any software or anything can basically track three or four or at max five parameters. But right now itself, in your body there are like thousands of processes that are happening involuntary itself, like you are seeing, you are listening, you are ready to ask the next question. Right now you're breathing also, you're digesting food also. So like some cells are getting regenerated because some cells have died, and you are getting ready for a lot of things. You're breathing, you're doing a lot of things, and literally no machine is as complicated, and no machine can really track what exactly human thing, body inside can happen, and nothing from the outside can really judge what is from the inside, right? So you will be able to, the minute you wake up, is what you will be able to judge whether you had a good night's sleep or a not a good night's sleep, is what I would say.
Okay, cool. That's cool. So there's no wearable technology that you would recommend people to, like depend on to track their sleep. Much rather actually listen to your body and then have a good night's rest. That's what you would recommend.
Yeah. Yes.
So like in terms of like the book, right? Like when did you actually write it and when was it published?
Yeah, so actually, I self-published this book. So I wrote this book in 2019-ish time frame after I got out of this thing, and I published it in 2020.
I see. So like a key takeaway or a message that you would like your readers to get from it would be.
So there are multiple things, Nitin, but one thing is, yeah, since you talked about the hustle culture and able to s- really think out of the, I mean, work tirelessly, right? So one
Hmm.
thing I would say is, like, I got this inspiration from a movie itself. So the movie is called Frozen. Frozen
Uh-huh.
2, and what happens in the movie is like the character has to save the kingdom, right? And it's a very big daunting task, like she has to do something which is unthinkable. All
Mhm.
right, so what she really focuses on is like, instead of really thinking what she has to do at the end and taking the pressure, she just focuses on doing the next right step, which is like,
Mhm.
okay, just moving forward in the direction where she has to get the next clue. So just she focuses on the next right step. So if you just focus on the next right step, so it's not that every step you take will be the right one, but you
Mhm.
have to focus, and then focus on the next right step rather than thinking like, how will I solve the big problem, is what I would say.
One step at a time, right? One step at a
Yes,
time.
correct.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So coming into the sleep niche, right? Like since we are also focusing on the same thing to actually improve people's sleep, everything like that, right? Like what is some advice that you would look to give to someone who's coming to into this niche of, let's say, business or entrepreneurship?
So yeah, so like one thing, of course, like is to, yeah, you should, if you really want to come into this niche, just with any, like with anything, so just don't be there for getting some quick buck because you see that there is a quick buck to be made. So be genuine and be ready to really solve the problem. And yeah, no one can figure out right in the day one itself, so you have to iterate, and then you will be able to get your business idea, is what I would say.
Awesome. That's I think that is one of the best advice you can give to any businessman in terms of I think
Correct.
any business, right? To stick together, stick with it, and actually solve the problem. That's like a good advice. Because most of the people, I think they start by thinking just to make profit in terms of business, right? But when you actually help people, when you actually solve an issue, you actually build your brand. That's
Correct.
what I think. Yeah. So as a person, sir, Manohar sir, how do you sleep? Like, how is your sleep, and how is there any habits that you do before you sleep? Is there any ritual is there that you sleep do before you sleep? Is
Yeah.
there something like winding down?
Yeah. So yeah, this is one of the very more important thing, Nidin. Like, what has really helped me is to create a ritual. So actually, this comes down from the Pavlovian theory, Pavlovian conditioning experiment. What Pavlov in the early 1900s, what he did was, he was a person who used to conduct experiments on psychology and conditioning of the brain. So what he did was, before giving food to the dogs, he just rang a bell,
Mhm.
right, and then he gave food to the dogs. So
Yes.
what this really did was, after 2 weeks, when they observed just the sound of the bell, the dogs really understood that food is going to come, and they started salivating. So that is
Yes.
like they started creating that saliva. So just like that, right, when you create one ritual. So my ritual was very simple, which is like, before going to sleep, is to like, the boundary which I talked about initially, right? 9 o'clock was my boundary which I set for myself. So if it was 9 o'clock, I just had my shower, and then change my night clothes, and then I used to meditate before going to sleep. So meditate and then go to sleep. So that is the simple ritual which I followed. And yeah, so if it is either meditation, or I just go for a small walk, or listen to music, or I find ways to relax myself and then go to sleep, and that has been helping me much better.
I see, I see. That's awesome. I think, yeah, that is very important. I think that is one of, if not the most important thing I heard on the podcast in terms of sleep. How can you induce that thing? Like, basically conditioning yourself to a ritual or routine so that you can follow through it. That every day you go through that, your body automatically gets into that rhythm where you're going to sleep, right? Oh, that
Yes,
is actually
absolutely.
awesome advice, I would say. That's really awesome advice. So, sir, in terms of like the sleep environment, right? Do you have anything like do you keep do you prefer like a cooler environment? Do you have like a normal room temperature, anything like that? Do you have any suggestions in those terms, or is it like individual preference?
I would say it's individual preference, Nitin, because like, yeah, for example, my wife really can't sleep if it is very hot. But for me, I really can't sleep if it is too cold. So that's definitely an individual preference, is what I would say.
Mhm. I see, I see. That's it. So like in terms of like lighting and things like that, like it's a dark room. Like there are people I think they sleep with lights on. I don't know how they do that, but there are people I heard that they sleep with lights on. Like I'm like, how are you gonna sleep in that? Right? But there are people who does that, and that is normal for them. So I think in terms of like this ritual thing, I think everyone has to figure it out in their own terms, right? Like what is
Correct,
gonna work for you, what's gonna work for other people, all those kind of things,
correct,
right? Yes, yes.
correct.
So nowadays, how many hours of sleep do you get in terms of like in an average? If you're taking in a week, how many hours of sleep do you get? And what do you recommend? How
So,
many hours of sleep should a person get?
okay. So for this question, Nidin, yeah, everyone asks me this question, like, what is the recommended number of hours of sleep, right? So to answer this question, so let me ask you one thing, like, how much food should a person take? Like, for example, let's say you are there, right? So did you eat the same amount of food yesterday, today, and day before yesterday? Did you eat the same amount of food?
Maybe I don't know. We can't say that. I think.
We can't measure that, right? So that is exactly when the food itself varies throughout the year. So like today, maybe you may be very hungry and you ate a lot, but yesterday
Exactly.
you were full with what the little itself, right? So it
Mhm.
varies. So the body, like we talked about initially, right? So there are thousands and thousands of things that are going in the body, right? Really can't put one specific number to that. But if you really ask me, like, how much do I sleep, so it was sometime in the range of 6 to 8 is what I would say. But
Mhm.
some days I sleep 6, some days maybe I sleep 8. Maybe like for example, let's say tomorrow I have an early morning flight to catch, and so maybe then I don't get that sleep. But what I really do if I compensate because I have a bad sleep is I nap during the day. So napping has been helping me a lot because the thing is like it gives the brain the clearing space. That is one thing. And whatever if you have lost because of sleep, right? So that is also something that helps.
I see. So how many, like how much, how long is the naps? Like usually how long is the naps that you're
Uh,
taking? You
so
take one to twice?
I generally put 20 to 25 minutes, and let's say, but if like I said, earlier case where I didn't have a good night's sleep, right? At that time, I put a 40 45 minutes also. So it depends, but most of the days I put a 20 to 25 minutes. And
Mhm.
yeah, napping also, what I really do is I prefer to have a nap sometime between 12 to 2. That's my preference.
I see. I see. I am also a person who takes naps. I love napping.
Yeah,
Right. For me, especially like before I hit gym, I need to at least like 15 minutes of nap. Like I think it like reboots the entire thing. Till then, I'm
correct.
working on many things, and then once I'm going to go to gym, I need to get a refreshed brain, refreshed mind, get some energy. Since I don't take pre-workouts or any kind of so all I have is just this nap. I don't even drink tea. I just go to gym and drink water. Right. So I just take 15 minutes nap, and I'm like that. Like I'm like that. I'm like all set to go and crush it there. In terms of like this, especially like working out, right? I think there might have been people who have come to you who work out or do physical labor a lot, right? I think they need much more longer periods of sleep, right? Wouldn't you recommend much more longer hours of sleep for them compared to people who are not actually physically involved in that much of strenuous activity?
Um Yeah, so my recommendation, I really can't recommend Nitin for a simple reason. Like, if you are, since you are habituated to working out in gym, right? Maybe your body is quickly able to adapt to the challenges, right? So
Mhm.
maybe, like, for example, if I am starting right now, let's say, like, I'm starting right now, then
Yeah.
my body is in a kind of a shock because I'm doing something which is unthinkable. Right. So in that case, I do recommend a little bit more nap for sure, but more sleep for sure. But maybe like see if you are doing it for a long period of time, your body, yeah, is really resilient and it can adjust to challenges. So, but you need to give the time, is what I would say.
So, like coming into the sleep sector, right? Like, how much like time did you take into like research into this thing, and how did it go? Like, did you like first of course, you fixed your own sleep first, and then I think you were like more of I think it should be more of sharing your experience and then trying to relate
Correct.
with your clients, right? Is that how it went?
Yes, yes. Yeah, you rightly said. So it is what I fixed myself and what I've identified were something that I could. I would say what were my mistakes. So I fixed that, and I'm just talking on those things. Yeah.
In terms of like diet, is there any kind of recommendations or any kind of suggestions that you would give like in terms of diet? Because I've heard like many of the people, even doctors who come on the show, has said not, like actually recommended us to not have a heavy dinner. They actually asked to have a very light dinner and to
Yeah.
have it at least 2 hours before you go to bed. What is your say in that?
Okay, so I'm not an diet expert, but yeah, I would agree with the suggestion which what you have said. And in fact, if you go as per the Ayurveda, so Ayurveda is an Indian medicine, very ancient kind of medicine. And what basically Ayurveda says is, uh, you should be having your food when there is sun. So once the sun has set, right, you shouldn't be having food for the simple reason the sun in the sky represents the fire
Mm-hmm.
element within us. And to digest food, fire has to be an important element. So if sun has set, right, basically the fire has been extinguished, and it will take a lot of processing for the body uh, to digest the food. And yeah, so b- for sleep, if the food is digested, right, it definitely helps for sure.
I see, I see. That's cool. So, like, sir, in terms of like your entire sleep niche, your own business startup, right? I would say like, what is your vision for that? Do you like stick on sleep niche, or are you trying to like branch out to any kind of anything like wellness, something like that? Is it just going to be sleep
Mm,
or?
yeah, so I would actually categorize it saying that I'm more into a mental health, Nidin, but
Mhm.
sleep is my foundation, is what I would say, because I believe sleep is the biggest foundation for mental health, is what I feel.
Yes, 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 of course, of course. Insomnia is a huge issue, and like people who suffer from it, like they really know how much it affects their life. Like
Correct.
recently, we did have a meeting with a really high profile person, and you would not believe that person has insomnia. Like the way he carries himself, or the way he interacts with people, everything seems very normal. But then he had a really high grade insomnia, and he was sharing that with us and how it affects his life. And that's when we are like, reaffirming that how important our business and how important how we are trying to solve the problem is, about sleep. I think it affects
Okay.
everyone from like, every common man to every high profile person who's working in a very high paid job. It like everyone gets affected by sleep. And the same way, I should say, like people who are thinking that sleep is not valuable, or it's like, sacrificing sleep for getting more performance or success in life. Like basically you're just ruining your health. Because from
Correct.
our research, what we understood is like around 40% of an increase is there in a chance of getting heart attack or stroke if you're not getting enough sleep. Like
Correct.
that itself is like a staggering, like, percentage, I would say, because heart attack and stroke is one of the most leading cause of death worldwide, I would say. And sleep alone is like saying that she's gonna cause 40% increased chance if you're not getting enough sleep. And people are not
Yeah.
taking much care or much, what I would say. It's like actually like not having the awareness is the issue, I would say, right, sir?
Eh, Yeah, true. I would say, but yeah, there are multiple things, Nitin. Like there are like so many ways to like, for example, like so many ways to get yourself distracted,
Yeah.
and there are so many things that are there to do in life, and like this is the time where, like, basically, if you really think 100 years before, right,
Mhm.
there were really not so many things to do, but right now you can really do so many things, and that overwhelm is causing the biggest problem, is what I would say.
Hmm. Exactly right. Yeah, that is also true. I think after COVID too, like a lot of jobs, like work from home, things like that. People are doing even like multiple jobs in a single day. Like they're pushing themselves to the limit, like absolute limit. Before it's like you work one job, that's it, you get paid, class, right? But now it's like it's called, I think, moonlighting, and they do multiple jobs. They're hustling and hustling. They want to make more money, and at the end of the day, by like 55, they're almost done. Either it's a heart attack or a stroke or some kind of disease that no one can predict. And I don't think that's like a good way or a go like it's a right direction for our generation to head to. I wish more people actually knew about, you know, uh, people like us who talk more about sleep and actually how much of an impact it has on a person's health in terms of mental and physical. And for
Yes.
me personally, like once we started the brand, and as you said about Ayurveda, right? Importance of Ayurveda, even we are also in the same sector because our fabrics are actually made using Ayurvedic herbs. The entire color that you
Okay.
see in the fabrics is made from Ayurvedic herbs. There's no chemicals included whatsoever. All our crops are grown naturally, organically, and then we use the Ayurvedic herbs to impart the colors into them. No chemical dyes is used. Hence, we have like a limited choice of colors, but each color has its own property, right? For example, green we make it with tulsi, neem, etc., and it's just the proportions that we're changing, but the kind of effect it has on us when inducing sleep is just mind blowing. Like the coolness that you get, the kind of relaxing mind state that you get is just next level. And it's just that people are not aware about the benefits of, as you said, Ayurveda, trying to get into the circadian rhythm of your own body, those kind of things. And that is one of the main issues that even we are facing in terms of like building that awareness and understanding, letting people know that, hey, this is something that you should really be caring about, right? And it's fine about spending money on sleep. If I would spend money on something, I think probably that would be on improving my sleep rather than or anything else.
Yes.
Like people are spending money much more on like they're taking keto diets, they're ready to go to gym, workout, hire a training personal trainer, all those things, everything like that, even get surgeries, But like in terms of sleep, something that's so simple and something so basic they are not ready to like invest time on that or money or effort on that.
Okay, I agree with you.
Yes. That is what we are trying to do from our side. I think, yeah, sir also has helped. I think many people, I think they're very happy clients. I think like, so how about like you got any international clients or is it everything from India? Anything from South India, things like that? More towards
Yeah,
Kerala,
so I've
Hyderabad,
been,
Kerala?
yeah, I have more worked with Indian clients only, Nitin. Yeah, but I'm really open for anyone who really wants help. So and it's nothing like I have a restriction as such.
Awesome, awesome. So I think we are coming to a close to the entire session. I will be mentioning all your social media platforms and LinkedIn profile in our YouTube discussion. So thank you once again, sir, for coming. It was an awesome session. I got a lot of know a lot of things, a lot of insights. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Nitin, for having me.